Holy smokes, man. I'm getting a little nervous here if I push it too much more. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Check it out. It's the Air 3 range test today. I'm at my spot here on the peak in the southwest, and as you can see, we have a nice straight shot, kind of a line of sight, not obstructed, down towards the south. A little bit difficult to get up here, even on a bike like this. You think this kind of bike could handle it? This is the Yamaha 450F WR, and man, just all these rocks and these trails, whew. So we're gonna do this range test today. It's gonna be in depth, so hang in there. We're gonna push it as far as we can. Barely any wind, maybe a gusting 5 to 10 once in a while. So anyway, let's get started with the Air 3 range test. Just kind of waiting for it to get a little over 10 satellites. Real quick, come on. There we go, okay. Updates the home point and let's take off. Immediately flying straight out, guys. I'm gonna keep it as level as possible until I have to go up. And I notice my sensors are on. I'm gonna go ahead and turn these off just to save a little bit of power. And for today's flight, guys, I'm going to, I think, not record the whole flight. And once in a while, I'm going to do this. I'm gonna just record video, and I'll have that up on the screen so you guys can kind of see, you know, a little bit of what the 4K looks like during this route. But I think the 4K, definitely, this is 4K 30 mode right now, definitely uses some power. So you guys that were saying, yeah, it uses some power, it kind of lessens the flight time. I just clicked the video off. So I'll just be doing that once in a while. But as you can see, we just have a pretty straight, unobstructed line here we're flying on, and I should be able to just kind of skip right over the tips of whatever's in the way of these hills and mountains. But as you can see, we're only 1.6 feet above our launch point, and what this thing does is it only reads the elevation from where you're launching from. So wherever your elevation is, where you're launching, is 0, and it's only going to tell you how high it is from that point. So it's not knowing really anything below it that's farther than, I think, about 50 feet. I think those elevation lasers on the bottom can reach about 50 feet. So when it's coming down, it kind of knows where the ground is to slow down and to avoid obstacles and stuff, with also those other cameras on the bottom. But when you're flying over stuff like this, it does not know what the ground is. So as you can see, guys, we're just flying out. I'm feeling some gusts coming from my right. And if you look at the compass there on the bottom left of the screen, you'll see it right down here. I just kind of touched it with my finger. You can see that horizon line and that kind of transparent blue color at the bottom of the compass. It's kind of showing you which way the drone is tilting. So the drone, DJI is kind of funny with their compass. They have the forward and back horizon line, kind of like you would see in the US, like for pilots and stuff. But the horizontal left and right horizon line follows the craft exactly, you know what I mean? So it's going to show the horizon line tilting right if the craft's going right, but if it's tilting forward, the horizon line is going to come up higher. If it's tilting back, the horizon line is going to come down lower. So it's kind of funny. I kind of wish they would just turn the right and left horizon line, kind of like they have the front. But anyway, that's what it's doing. You can see it's tilted a little forward and it's fighting some wind to its right just a little bit. We've got 30 satellites today. That's incredible. I've had this thing with 33 satellites, I think, max. So really good satellite view here in the southwest. It's right up, I think it's right around 80, 85 degrees right now. The sun is a super high UV index, but the winds, like I was saying, pretty low, you know, just some once in a while gusts of 5 to 10 and then it stops. So hopefully it's like that out there as well. That's why I'm going to try to stay low until we really need to gain some altitude. If we start to either run into things or we need a little bit more height for signal. And I wanted to show you guys real quick. I'll just be having my controller screen up, of course, so you can see everything I'm seeing on the controller. I'll be putting up the mileage markers when we hit, I think we're almost around 2 miles now. A mile is 5,280 feet, so we're just approaching 2 miles. You can see on the bottom down here, I'll tap it. You can see right down there is where the screen is for the mileage per hour. Shows us our distance. We're going 26.6 miles per hour. And this should be the most efficient speed this craft can travel. I've tried a few tests in sport and cine, and you're gonna get the best distance, honestly, in normal mode. You switch into sport and you try to do this, you're just eating up too much battery for how far it can go. And same goes with cine, is you're not eating up enough battery, or you're not flying fast enough, you know, to actually gain distance for how slow it's going, even though you can fly for longer going slower. But for distance, it seems like normal mode is the best. Still have full signal. I'll tell you, man, this OcuSync 4 is unbelievable. Did a few tests, and just flying down at my house with obstructions, it can go, compared to the OcuSync 3, it can go penetrate way further through brush and obstacles than the OcuSync 3 could. So phenomenal upgrade on the transmission and video technology that they've got here. Just a little past 2 miles now, and our battery percentage is only 88%, so we're doing really good here. Let's see what else is going on here. Up there at the top, up here, right above the battery percentage, or on the right side of the battery percentage, you can see the time it thinks it has left to fly. And that's going to be variable, like I always say, depending on the conditions, the wind. If it picks up, goes down, that's going to start changing. I did do a test. Let me start recording one more time real quick. About 4K up on the screen. Moving the gimbal, as you can see, we have perfect gimbal movement. I'm going to turn off my hat cam real quick. Yeah, save some power. Turning off the 4K again, save more power. Like I was saying, is I did a test where there was like no wind, and I started recording on the video and let it sit for a while. And it seems like it adjusts the time for the current draw up at the top, the flight time up here, like I was talking about, remember? And it seemed like it went down like a few minutes after a while. So that's definitely gonna eat up some battery. There's the road there, just quickly flying over it to get to our destination. I really don't like to fly over roads and houses, but in this instance, I need to do a perfect straight line, so I might actually fly over a few, but just passing over very quickly, not hovering over or spying on anybody. So you guys definitely shouldn't do that as much as possible. But anyway, yeah, we're doing great, man. I wanted to show you, while we're flying out here, I just have my stick full forward. Again, we're still going 26.6 miles per hour, right around there. I want to go into the options here. And again, I'll have this up on the screen for you. And I wanted to show you the battery info. Touch base on this real quick. As you can see over here on the right, I have my little fingerprint here. This is the 11th cycle. So I've been cycling this battery, just doing random flights down to like around 15 to 10% over and over again, and then charging back up. Of course, you want to make you want to let your battery, cool down a little bit for when you finished flying. Let it cool down for maybe about half hour till it was room temp, and then put it back on the charger and let it charge all the way up to 100%. Put it back in, flew again, and repeated that 10 times. And in my experiences, that kind of exercises the battery, even though they say lithium ions are supposed to be no memory effect. In my instance, in my experience on a new battery of lithium ion technology, when it's new, it does help to reach your best capacity for the battery if you kind of exercise it about 10 times. Some people say go down to 50 and back up about 10 times, and that's probably pretty close. I went a little lower, of course, 15 to 20, 10%, but of course you can do whatever you want, but my experience is that kind of helps the battery meet its maximum capacity. Anyway, guys, flying out here, 77%, and we've already gone, looks like about 4 miles. So honestly, this is phenomenal. AcuSync 4, not even 1 bar dropped. As long as you have a line of sight, you are going to get amazing range with this thing, and the video feed is going to be nice and clear. I did try flying away from my house, kind of through some trees, and had some tree obstructions. Turn my camera back on here. You see these trees here? So if you're flying on the other side of trees like this and it's blocking your view, if you just look at what I'm pointing at right now at these trees, you're still going to get much farther than the AcuSync 3, but eventually it will kind of, fade out, block out, get blotchy, and then lose signal. So honestly, line of sight is the best way to go if you can possibly do it. So if you're shooting video, even if you're not far away, just try to get on a high point of your area, and so you can kind of keep that unobstructed signal straight through to your drone line, you know what I mean? And you'll get the best video. And this is an HD recorded screen. Let's do a little bit of zooming here. I'm not recording, but I do want to show you the zoom. It looks like they updated. There's been a few updates since I did my flight review. If you guys missed that flight review and unboxing, go ahead and check at the top right of the screen. I'll have that card pop up, and check down in the description too for where you can get this drone, and also for my other videos that I've done on this drone and others. You might enjoy that. So we're 1 bar down on our video and RC feed. You see up there on the top right. Just touch the screen there so you can see it. It went down and then it went back up again. So that kind of corresponds also to which direction you're facing. So on the bottom left here, back at the compass, remember, down here, if I turn myself to the left, look at my arrow at the bottom H there. It's turning away from the drone. So I want to keep that green arrow. It turns green when you're in that little vicinity of the drone. Keep that facing the drone with your antennas kind of perpendicular to it. That means the flat side of your antenna's out, and the controller top just pointed straight at the drone, because there's 2 antennas in there. So do that as much as possible and you'll have that best signal. So we are dropping down to 4 bars, 1 bar less. And I was talking about zooming, so let's just try that real quick. So the right roller, I'm just rolling it to the right. And you can use your gimbal as you zoom. So this is the first lens on the camera. You know how the Air 3 has 2 sensors? So this is the first one. That's as far as you can go, and this is supposed to do 3 times lossless zoom, but this isn't it. You have to press on the 3 on top of it. You see this 3? I'm going to press on it. That chooses the second sensor, and if you look at that, it has gotten way clearer. You know what I mean? So, am I in pro mode? There we go. That's auto. Okay. I was in pro mode there because I was doing some night shooting. This thing does pretty amazing night shooting as well. Let me just show you that real quick. See how it has that night mode right there? You can switch into it. It seems like you can't do, go back to normal. Seems like you can't do any kind of tracking your orbits in night mode. It doesn't allow you yet. Hopefully soon it will. But just wanted to show you that. So there's the 3x lossless zoom on that top button you got to press, and then you can zoom in to 9x. Check this out. Slowly zooming in with my right roller. And look at that. So you can still move the gimbal while you're zoomed in. Now this is going to be a digital zoom, you know what I mean? That 3x right here, that's the lossless. So it's going to have a normal clarity. But when you zoom in anything more than that, you're getting a digitized, a little bit more blurry picture. So there we go. There's our low battery. I'm going to cancel it because I know this thing can really go for it. And I'm going to turn up the volume a little so we can hear that voice a little more. I'm going to go back into 1x zoom. And again, I'm not recording as much as possible just to save the battery. We're at 64%. Wow, guys, we've gone over 6 miles. I've been gibbering and jabbering that whole time. And look at the bottom of the screen here. Down there. 34,000 feet. Holy smokes, man. So we have really... This is, I think, farther than any other drone I've ever range tested. I think the farthest was, I mean, of course, not counting the disco, right, with that 4G connection, but any straight contact from the RC controller, this is the farthest. We're going on 7 miles here. 60%. Unbelievable. Oh, that's just my camera on my head turning off. So, man, do I want to push it much farther than this? I don't know. I think we're right around 7 miles. Well, what I was saying was the Mavic 3 was the only other drone that I could get near this, which was right around 6 miles, I think. I really hope there's not like too much wind at my back, and coming back I'm gonna die with this. I probably want to turn around pretty soon. I might go to like 55. I don't think it's very windy today, so I think we should be okay. But look at that RC signal. It's still at 3 bars. If I was to pick it up, it'd probably go to 4. But I want to save the battery as much as possible. You know, I don't want to pick it up and get in the wind, and I just want to save this battery. Man, are we going to risk this again and have to find it? I hope not, dude. I'm going to go to 55 because this is leaps and bounds farther than any distance I've ever gone. This is amazing. Look at the signal too. We're still at 3 bars, almost maxed out. Just flying over these trees here, getting a little closer to this peak. Holy smokes, man. I'm getting a little nervous here if I push it too much more. I think right when we hit 55, I'm going to turn around, guys, because that's got to be almost 8 miles. Holy smokes. Still almost full signal strength. And okay, here we go. I'm just going to push return to home and hold the button, the hardware button.
Return to home.
Let off the controller. It's going to try to fly up to about 100 feet. I'm going to push forward while it's doing that. While it's kind of gaining altitude. You see that on the screen that popped up on the left? It says accelerating craft will eat up battery power. So you really don't want to accelerate as much as you can, because actually the craft knows when it's in its return to home mode, it knows the best efficiency, the best speed. It's even not going up to the 100 feet that I had put. I'm not sure if that means that's because I pushed forward on the controller and it canceled it going up to that 100-foot return to home distance. But this is a good height. You know, this should keep us out of the wind. Ooh, man, are we gonna make this? Geez, 52%. There's wind coming from my left, but coming from the front of me looks like nothing. So I think we'll be okay. You can turn this beeping off if you want. If you notice real quick on the top here though, the RC signal went down another bar, and I'm still pointing the controller directly at the drone. And so the antenna is not as good in the front of the drone than in the rear of the drone. So it seems like when you turn this thing around, you get like one less bar of signal strength. Tilt the camera down a little more. What was I saying, guys? Jeez, totally forgot. I'm just kind of nervous right now coming back here. An hour 50. Yeah, so I think what I was saying was the amount of wind, very calm. Like right now, it's just there's no breeze where I'm standing. But of course, out and up could be different, right? Hopefully there's a little bit of wind to its back coming back, and that'll kind of help it come back. But we went so far. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. So we're still going at about the same speed that we went going out. So that's promising. That means we should be able to get back with a few percent left on the battery. But what I was saying is, see the sensors up here? I'm just gonna press again up here so you can see what I'm talking about. You see the sensor icon when it goes into return to home. If it takes over and it's automatically returning to home, it turns all the obstacle avoidance back on. Even though it does that, it seems like it would use more power. It seems like it's still, when it automatically knows how to return to home, it seems like it still returns to home more efficient than you could just by coming forward. I don't know why, but it's if there's sensors to know where the wind's coming at it, but it adjusts itself automatically to give you the most efficient flight. So honestly, people think that if you take off return to home and you just push forward, and this might be kind of controversial, but in my trials, it just seems like it's just as, if not more efficient, if you just let it return to home like this. So as you can see there, we got 2 bars now. There's probably a little bit of Wi-Fi interference down here by these houses. And that whole time out, I mean, the gimbal was working fine. You could see the clarity didn't look like it dropped at all in the screen. This is a high definition screen that's recording in like 60 frames per second that you can record on. This is the DJI RC2 controller. And it has more storage than the RC1. So I don't even have a memory card in this controller, guys. It's got something like, I think around 16 gigabytes, if I'm not mistaken, with 10 free or something, because of course it has to have the OS and the software on the memory. But it's just kind of like a phone, an Android phone, put into this screen. What I was saying is the RC2 seems like they took care of all the lagginess and problems that the RC1 has, because I haven't noticed any glitch in this when I'm pressing buttons. You know, I'm going out of menus, I'm pulling down for the drop down. Everything works perfectly. So, oh yeah, I wanted to turn off this beeping. That's probably annoying you. So if I hit mute there, you're not going to hear any of the warnings. I just did a double swipe down from the top. But if you're annoyed at that constant beeping, you can just mute that. Just as long as you look at the screen and what's going on here. It honestly looks like we're going to be okay, because I'm looking at that little horizon line down here by the compass, and it's not really going up higher that much. So that means that there's no wind. Like I was saying, it's backwards between the left and right and the front and back. When that horizon line goes up higher, that means there's more wind at the front of the craft and the craft is pitching more to fight the wind forward. Whereas, like I was saying, the left and right, it follows the line. So the line's, if it's turning left, if it's leaning left, that line's going to go down, which it is right now. So it's leaning left, fighting some wind. But what I was saying is it doesn't look like there's much activity above the level line going forward. So that's telling me that the wind is very, very calm out there. And we can also just look at our speed, and you know, we're still going like 26.5 to 27. So hopefully it's once in a while gusting behind it to kind of help it come back. So perfect day to do this. Unbelievable. And still, you can still see I'm pointing directly at the craft with my controller. See if I can record this again on the hat cam. But I'm holding the controller like this. This is how you need to hold the controller. This top part needs to be facing towards the drone as much as possible. So if you're doing shooting and you're flying the drone around, try to turn to wherever the drone is. Keep the flat part of your antenna faced at it too, as well as the top of the controller. Doing this and turning the controller towards your face helps a little, but there's also an antenna on the top of the controller. So doing this, I think you should, well, maybe it's pointing out too. I guess you can do this. It doesn't look like it's going down at all. Just keep these antennas, the flat part, like if you push them up, keep it facing the craft, right? Wow, guys, I think we might be okay on this one. Of course, I might need to help it back if it goes below 10%, but we're 34 and it's doing really well. But it's definitely not getting the signal strength coming back facing us as it is going out, that's for sure. Save a little power again on our hat cam. Oh, that time it immediately shut off. That's interesting. 28 satellites up on the top right up here. And clarity's good. I'm not even going to start to do any recording just in case we have trouble coming back, you know, using up that power. Maybe I will, and just for one instance right here, just so you can see what that 4K kind of looks like. As you can see, I'm hearing no audio. So remember, here's the gimbal, how high up it can go, if you guys were wondering. It was way the heck up there, 56% when we're coming home. Look for UFOs. Let's stop recording. I don't want to use as much power as possible. So, you know, we may be using a little bit of power with those sensors that turned back on return to home, but I have a feeling we're going to be okay. We're about 3 miles away still, and we're only at 30%. Woo! Flies, get out of here. The flies come around when it's calm, of course. The biting flies. Anyway, guys, I hope you're enjoying this flight. This is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, you've seen my other range tests, and I've never gone this far on a quadcopter drone. You know what I mean? I mean, they're limited in their capacity and efficiency compared to fixed wing crafts, of course, right? Because they don't have the lift. But the way they're designing it now, from the Air 2S to the Air 3, it's more aerodynamic. It seems like it's much more efficient, the better technology. So those of you who are asking me, I've got a few questions down in the comments on my other Air 3 videos. Is it worth the upgrade from, say, the Air 2S? I'm thinking yeah, unless you're really satisfied with what the Air 2S does. If you haven't bought the Air 2S before and you're looking for something in this kind of medium, mini weight of a drone, this medium size that has the best capabilities, looks like this is it. Oh, what's our percentage? I can't see it there on the clouds. There we go. The gimbal down a little bit. 26%, and we have, gosh, almost 3 miles to go. But it looks like we're getting back super efficiently. So that's good. Shoo fly, don't bother me here. There it goes. Yeah, guys, so what I may do is just, I don't know, if we have a little bit of voltage left or percentage, I guess I'm just going to land it. I mean, you guys know that this thing in calm conditions can go farther than pretty much any other drone they've made before. I haven't tested the Mavic 3 Pro, just because I've had the Mavic 3 and I've had the Mini 3 Pro, and I have a limited amount of money I can buy these things. I mean, this is the first one, as you may know, that DJI actually sent me for review, so I didn't have to pay for this one. But definitely non-biased review here. I mean, I'm putting it through the ringer as much as possible like I normally do. My flight tests and all that, we tested a lot of stuff. There was some cons and there's a lot of pros. Definitely more pros than cons, because now they released this one with very little bugs in the software. I remember when the Mavic 3 came out, half of the features didn't work. Remember that? The tracking didn't work. The orbit didn't work. I don't even know if quick shots worked. And I bought that one with my own money after it was released. Like, it didn't get to me weeks after it was released, and they still had problems like that. So if they can keep this track record up with releasing a drone and having the updates, having it not buggy when it's first released, I'm all for it. And this was actually sent to me about 15 days, I think, or even a month before it was released, and it was still performing like this with no glitches. They did some updates that, yeah, it did improve, like the camera quality, a little bit more efficiency. And they say in the, they list in the updates what it's improving each time you update. It also improved the RC controller link. So I didn't notice any difference really when I was first reviewing it on my first test flight until now. Maybe a little bit more clarity in the camera, but a lot of little subtle bugs that probably the QC guys or reports of things come in, and then they just eventually update it, and it seems like they're doing pretty good. So I'm not a DJI fanboy, but it's hard to deny that they are very good at what they do. And what they do is drones, of course, cameras now, mics and stuff. Actually, my hat cam right now is the Osmo Action 4, which was also just released actually today. For some reason, I couldn't update it until it was released. Like, I was doing my review on it, my unboxing. You can also see that down there at my channel too. And it's like you turn it on 5 times and then you have to register it and activate it. And while I was reviewing it, I turned it on over 5 times and then I couldn't do anything. And since the release wasn't out yet, I couldn't, activate it. So I had to wait till today, and that's what I'm using on my head now. So we're almost home. Boy, 15%, and we have over a mile left. I think we're gonna make it, man. For some reason, I was looking for my house, but I'm not near my house. I'm up on this bluff here, this hill. And I think we're gonna be okay. I may need to help it home when it reaches 10%. When these crafts reach 10%, guys, they start to want to auto land, but you can still move it around and pick it up with the sticks until they're really low, below 5% or so. It looks like we're just gonna make it. And I'm probably gonna want to hand catch this, unless, right over here, there's a nice flat spot. Hand catching can get kind of risky if you're really nervous and you're on low battery power, but whew, here it is, guys. And I think we're gonna be okay. We're just reaching 12%, almost down to 10, and we're just under a mile away. So I think we're gonna be okay. What a fantastic link this thing has. I probably could have gone down to 50% and still gone okay, like another 5% down, but I'm satisfied with that, man. That was like 7 or 8 miles in one direction. Unbelievable. So, you know, their information is correct, at least one way, how far the transmission can go, and that's what they do. That's what they say on the box. Critical low battery. Interesting, it's not going down yet because it knows it's returning home. That's kind of cool. Since it knows it can get home and it's returning home, it's not trying to self-land yet. Usually if it was near you, it would, when it reached 10%, it would start to auto land and you could still move it around. But this is great that they are letting it come home. And that's where I am, right? I'm going to touch on the screen right there. I believe that's where I'm at. So we're going to make it, guys. We're probably going to be landing right around 5%. This is phenomenal, dude. Woo! Man, excellent. I'm going to record in 4K on our last landing. There we go, low battery landing. It's going to confirm. I'm just going to let it go. Let's see if it shuts off the return to home. Forced landing in progress. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Woo, come on, baby. Come on home. Oh, I had to manually fly it back that way. Hey guys, what are we at? 6%. Man, I'm gonna reverse it around here, pull her in and do a hand catch. So you see how it's gonna go down and try to land slowly, but I can still push it up. That's how these things work when they get low, but that let me bring it home a lot further on automatic than normal. So let's land her, grabbing it here and just pulling down. And there we go, guys. Holy smokes, 4% left. I'll have that total mileage up on the screen right now. I'm gonna turn the recording off on the drone. Just clicking that button. Of course, we're still muted. I definitely recommend turning the mute back on or off once you do what you need to do, so the next time you fly it's on there. I forgot that several times. Holy smokes, my adrenaline is going there. So we came down to about 5 when we landed, 4 or 5, and man, this thing does it. More aerodynamic here, even with all those sensors on when it returns to home. And what that means, guys, if it turns them back on, that's pretty smart. If for some reason, say your controller dies, or I don't know what, you can't control the drone or whatever, if you're too low and it's flying into an obstruction, it's in bypass mode when it's returning to home. So it's gonna go up and over or on the side of things to avoid those obstacles, and so you'll still get it back. So I actually like that it turns that back on, and it doesn't really seem to suck power. Really, I mean, pros and cons on this right now. Obviously the camera could probably be a little better. I think it's still better than even though it's a smaller sensor, it's still better than the Air 2S as far as the technology goes. But just the zoom capability, this is supposed to have better night. I'm gonna throw up some videos on kind of night vision, night filming at my house. And I'm also gonna throw up some time-lapse flights. You know how it has that time-lapse mode where you're flying and you can shoot time-lapse while it's moving. I'll throw one of those up too. I looked at those and looks like the quality could be better. I'm not like a camera sleuth or whatever you call it, like a pro camera adjuster. So most of those things were just all on auto that I'll be putting up there on my channel, on shorts, or either on my normal videos. But that's kind of all I can say that's negative about it, is some portions of the camera may not be what you expect, but that's kind of expected because this is the mid-tier drone, you know what I mean? If you really wanted that camera, you'd go up and buy the Pro or even the Inspire, right? You definitely are not going to be disappointed with this. You can see how far the freaking thing went. That was amazing. If you already have the Air 2S, you be the judge of it. You can see how this thing's performing. With drones, it all depends on what you're doing with them. If you're looking for the best camera and filming, yeah, you're going to want to get a higher end drone with a better camera. But if you're looking for probably the best all around mid, you know, best bang for your buck, that's what the Air series is kind of meant for, is not too expensive, but you still get amazing technology. Anyway, guys, I'll stop talking, and I just wanted to say thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one. I hope you enjoyed that amazing freaking in-depth range test. I'm still shocked.